Blessed morning, Prince folks. It's December 9th. We have a nice, breezy, cool Saturday morning. Without further ado, let's get right in Boatman's lesson. I usually do this in my trash truck, or I'll even do this in the car. But we're right here at the Iron Church, and I call it that for a reason. Because I come here to search for the Lord before I lift 1 pound of iron. Because the Lord sent me here on this earth to lift your heart up as well as mine before I lift 1 pound of iron. That's why hearts before iron. It's the Iron Church. Does that make sense? Okay, so December 9th, we have what you are. Yesterday was whose you are. Today is what you are. We have a scripture of 1 Corinthians 3:9. You are God's field, God's building. That simple. We have a quote from William Countryman. The person you are now, the person you have been, the person you will be, this person God has chosen as beloved. I think a lot of people step out of that love, and that's why they're so hateful and bitter. But it's, they can always turn from that and come right back to God's love. I knew that, but I didn't officially surrender to this until January 5th, 2008, when I was 36 years old. Now here I am at 51. Inward, the origin. It's hard to grasp the illustrations God uses to describe his children. Ephesians 2:10 says we are his workmanship. And Jesus told us in John 15 that we are branches on the vine, jarring our life and bearing our fruit through the life he gives. In 1 Corinthians, the analogies are even more mind-boggling. In 3:9, we are God's building. 6:19 tells us that he's not only the architect, but also the inhabitant. And that, at an even more personal level, we're not just his functioning building, but his living body. Right here in tablet of your heart. It's his temple. We could spend eternity trying to understand all the implications of our identity. We probably will, in fact. But there's at least one thing we can be sure of now. God has bound himself inextricably to those who are born of the Spirit by faith in his Son. He's not a detached observer of our affairs. He's not a commander pulling our strings for his purposes. And he is not waiting for us to fail so he can discipline us. He is more than just someone we relate to. We are more than his servants or friends. We are born of his own self. For some amazing reason, he has invested himself in his creation to a degree we can hardly understand. He is united to us in intimate detail. Indeed, the conclusion. If you've ever doubted God's commitment to your welfare, let these truths erase your suspicions. He is as committed to your welfare as he is to his own. And if you're a believer who has been born of the Spirit and still felt distance from him at times, you can know that your feelings are lying to you. Never let your emotions govern you, folks. The experience of fellowship may be weak at times, but our spiritual union with him is constant. It doesn't change because God doesn't change. And that's the battle of the flesh and spirit. My emotions govern me, and I get into trouble. But I'll ask whoever I've offended to forgive me. I'll ask the Lord to forgive me first, and then the people. And through his way higher than always in us, being the living being, that person will forgive you. And if they don't, well, that's on them, and you move on. And after a while, the Lord just puts them out of the view of your heart. Try to think about yourself from God's perspective. If you can, imagine having created someone and then literally going to great places to redeem that person. Imagine giving this person your name, your authority, and your promise. Now, how committed to this person would you be? Consider your answer well. That's how much God is committed to you. And of course, that's children. Children are the arrows in a quiver. God's bow is always strong. Give yourself to him as the arrow meant to fire, to hit the mark each and every time. For sin is missing the mark. But when you are a well-crafted arrow and you give yourself to the Most High Father, he'll hit the mark every time, and you will come against sin, and then you will begin again anew in a person that perhaps doesn't believe, or someone that maybe needs to be picked up along the way because they've been beaten over the head by the word, by some preacher that's too condemning. Quit being condemning all the time. Show some love. Be blessed in your iron journey.